director of Kids in Danger. We're a nonprofit that works on children's product safety. We're here with our partners today to release a kid report card, Children's Product Recalls in 2016. Our report shows that actions of a few companies helped reverse the trend we had been seeing of fewer recalls, as well as increasing the incidents and injuries associated with them last year. As you can see on our report card, we gave barely passing grades to the current recall efforts. Developing mandatory standards for children's products is a required part of the Breakthrough 2008 Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act, a portion of which is named after our founder's son Danny and requires mandatory standards for juvenile products, including cribs. One impact of that law is that for the first time since before the law passed, there were no crib recalls this year, for the first time since that strong crib standard was adopted. The bad grades you see here are due to lack of corresponding changes in the recall process itself. The report reviews recall data from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission for 2016, as well as a look back to 2015 to see how effective those recalls were. There were 76 children product recalls this past year, and over 66.8 million individual units of children's products recalled. That's the largest number of units since the recall in 2004 of 150 million vending machine toys. The bad grades given in our report stem from a lack of changes in the recall process. In 2016, it took an average of 64 reported incidents before a product was recalled. That's up from 12 in 2015 and 5 in 2014. However, there were a few recalls with well over 100 incident reports that were mostly to blame for that. We've got a couple pictures here, but I can just describe. The Tommy Tippy sippy cup, which developed mold internally that was hard for a parent to remove even with constant cleaning, had over 3,000 reports of mold in the cups prior to the recall, along with 68% of infants and toddlers who were sickened from that mold. Pacific Cycle recalled 2 stroller models whose wheels came off after 132 incidents that resulted in 215 injuries, because often both the child and the caregiver were injured in that incident. Hillsdale Furniture had 650 reports on the side mattress support rails on their bunk beds cracking or breaking before they recalled the product. Incidents, injuries, and deaths rose sharply, with a total of 4,842 incidents, that's reports of a problem with the product, 394 injuries, that's up from just 36 injuries last year, and 7 deaths reported before the recalls were issued. All 7 of those deaths were on the IKEA, Malm, and other types of dressers that were recalled. In a statement, Janet and Jeremy McGee, whose son Teddy was killed by the IKEA Malm dresser in February last year, and his death finally led to the recall, asked, "When your son's death is the last of a long string of injuries and deaths over a 27-year period of time, you can't help but wonder why this had to happen. What would life be like today had IKEA acted sooner to recall these defective dressers?" I think that puts in sharp perspective the issues that we're dealing here when unsafe products remain on store shelves. When we look at efforts after the recall is announced, we saw some improvement. Almost 60% of the companies with a Facebook page used it to publicize the recall, a dramatic increase from the past. In addition, we hope to see that number continue to improve because CPSC itself has started to use Facebook and Instagram to publicize recalls. A continuing frustration with the recall process is the reporting of the effectiveness of recalls. With the required recall effectiveness data reports on only 37% of all the recalls last year, and even those did not contain a full year of data, it's impossible to state how companies are doing in retrieving or repairing recalled products. Some of the data was unavailable because CPS rules allow companies to shield data from the public, but a lot of it was missing or incorrect in the forms filed with CPSC. It's hard to fathom how companies and CPSC are measuring recall effectiveness when the basic information they require is not being provided. I'd now like to introduce our other speakers, and I will just go maybe through all 3 introductions and then you guys can speak. First up, we'll have Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan, who has stood with KID for these reports for many years, since the days when dozens of children were killed in unsafe cribs and when the recalls of children's products happen 2 to 3 times a week instead of about 3 times every 2 weeks currently. Andre Delattre, who is the Executive Director of US PIRG, and Chua Vu is Director of Policy and Community Engagement with the Illinois Action for Children. Illinois Action for Children has supported regulations that keep recalled products out of child care facilities and are always working for children's safety.
Thank you, Nancy. I am very happy to be here today with Kids in Danger and with its Executive Director, Nancy Coles, to talk with you yet again about the important work that takes place when it comes to tracking the safety of children's products and when it comes to tracking the recalls of dangerous children's products. Nancy Coles is without a doubt one of the most dedicated and tireless advocates when it comes to children's product safety, and her efforts have directly resulted, I am sure, in hundreds of thousands of children's lives and families' lives being improved. So I want to start by saying thank you to Nancy for all of the hard work she does day in and day out on this front. We're very, very happy, obviously, to be able to work with her. And I'm also very happy to be here with 2 other organizations that do great child advocacy work. US PIRG, you see us with them pretty much every year right before the Thanksgiving holiday shopping season begins, but as well Illinois Children in Action, or Illinois Action for Children, that does terrific work on this front as well. So over the years, we have seen significant dangers, everything from toxic toys to dangerous drop side crits. And as a parent, I am well aware that there are always dangers present for your children. But we would be wise to recognize that there are certain things that should never be dangerous. There are certain things that obviously should not be for purchase and they should not be in our home. Yet nonetheless, even with the improvements we've seen, there continue to be far too many items that prove to be a danger to our children and unfortunately sometimes also prove to be so dangerous as to cause fatalities to our children. So I appreciate and I can understand how difficult it is to keep up with all of this information, and that's why we've all come here today to help. So here are 3 simple things that parents and other caregivers can do. Number 1, you can sign up to directly receive recalls at recalls.gov. Number 2, you can also reach out to Kids in Danger. You can call Kids in Danger to find out if a product is safe. You can visit their website, or you can sign up for their email alerts to learn about all of the latest recalls. I also think, and Nancy will come back and tell you this, it's true, I think you guys have an app too, that I always, there's so much information and there's so many ways to get it out that they've been really great about that. In addition, the Illinois Attorney General's office, my office, is here to help. You can contact my recall hotline for information on a toy or any other product that has been recalled, and that number is 1-888-414-7678. So as you can see, I had a chance to glance through this, but as you can see from KID's latest report, and as Nancy mentioned, we saw a significant increase in the number of recalls and injuries from children's products just last year. And that's after we had seen a pretty substantial decrease in those recalls. There are plenty of new dangers that parents and caregivers need to know about, and that absolutely includes the horrible tragedies that occur when furniture tips over. Large pieces of very heavy furniture that unfortunately have resulted in far too many tragic deaths when children literally get trapped and killed under those pieces of furniture. Shockingly, as you heard, 7 children died before IKEA finally recalled the Malm dresser that was the cause of those deaths last year. And you also heard about the Tommee Tippee sippy cups. Having lived through more than my fair share of sippy cups, they can be very difficult to clean. Even if you put them in your dishwasher or hand wash them, and having a child that gets sick because of mold that you can't get at, obviously, is not a good thing. But interestingly, these sippy cups caused so many kids to get sick that there were actually over 3,000 reports of this problem, and there were nearly 70 injuries. So again, despite all of the work that Nancy and Kids in Danger, US per the Illinois Attorney General's office is done, there's still far too many preventable injuries and tragedies that take place. So it is as important as ever to follow the latest recalls and warnings and to share this information with your family members, your loved ones, and other caretakers. In some cases, sharing this information will make an enormous difference in somebody's life. I would say this, I reread the statement from the McGee family, the child's family who was killed under the dresser, and it is heartbreaking to think that an injury of that nature, a death of that nature, should have been preventable, and the lifelong depression and difficulty that that family is going to have to live with because that dresser hadn't been recalled and because that information had not gotten out there to that family and to enough people. So please, I know we do these press conferences at least twice a year. We do one around Thanksgiving and we do one when Kids in Danger releases their report, but the information contained in here is so vital that I strongly encourage everybody, please sign up to get information about recalls on children's products because you do not want to have to live with the guilt and the pain that will result if your child is injured or dies from a preventable injury. So we are all here to help, and thank you very much. And now let me turn it over to Andre.
Thank you.